In the land where kings once walked, where the air is thin and the mountains cradle the sky, a boy began to run. Not for glory, not for gold, but because running was life itself. The earth beneath his feet was more than soil. It was memory, it was history, it was breath. Born in 1932 in the village of Jato, Abebe Bikila came from a world untouched by time. His father, a shepherd. His mother, a keeper of the home. His house, built of stone and earth. His childhood measured not by clocks, but by the rising and setting sun. His games? Gina, the ancient Ethiopian sport played with curved sticks and a ball of wood, rough and joyful, a test of balance and strength. But in truth, the hills themselves were his greatest playground. In these mountains, every climb was training, every descent a test. Here, Abebe built his body without knowing. In silence, he built his spirit without trying. What the world would one day call extraordinary was forged in the ordinary rhythms of a highland life. But his childhood was not untouched by conflict. Ethiopia had fought off the Italian invasion once, but the scars of occupation lingered. Stories of defiance filled the air, whispered tales of men and women who would not bow. In that soil of memory, a seed of resistance took root in the boy. These small moments, these mountain rituals, carved into Abebe something deeper than endurance, a sacred respect for land, for labor, for silence, and for the unbreakable dignity of his people. By 1952, Ethiopia was rebuilding, and Abebe joined the Imperial Guard, an elite force sworn to protect Emperor Haile Selassie. Here, amidst discipline, marches, and duty, his legend found its cradle. Days were long, filled with drills, but when others rested, Abebe ran. Through the streets of Addis Ababa, through dawn's thin air, through the quiet hours when the city still slept. A Finnish-Swedish coach, Ani Niskanen, saw what others missed. Not just the stride, smooth as silk, endless as the horizon. Not just the lungs, filled with the highlands' iron air, but the will, hard as stone, humble as soil. In Abebe, he saw not just an athlete, but a vessel for something greater. He trained with simplicity. He ate injera and wat, the same meals as his fellow soldiers. He slept early, woke early, spoke little. His body became a temple of discipline. But what he built in solitude was not just muscle. It was purpose. A quiet storm gathering strength. Local races came, and he won. Again and again. Always without fuss. Always without spectacle. By 1960, Ethiopia needed a last-minute replacement for the Olympic marathon team bound for Rome. Abebe's name was called. Few outside Ethiopia noticed, but history was waiting. On the day of the race, the shoes didn't fit. Most would have panicked. Most would have withdrawn. Abebe did neither. He simply took them off and stood barefoot on the ancient cobblestones of Rome. The sun dipped low over the eternal city as the marathon began. The barefoot Ethiopian ran past the Colosseum, past arches and avenues built by empire. Through the ruins of Rome, he moved like a whisper of the past, steady, relentless, untouchable. Past the stolen obelisk of Aksum, torn from his homeland decades before, a monument to colonial theft. Here, at this very point, Abebe surged. His body was running, but his spirit was reclaiming. And the world surged with him. Ethiopia had defeated Rome once more, not with spears, not with shields, but with silence, speed, and spirit. 1960, barefoot gold, a victory for a nation, a reminder that the soul cannot be conquered. 4 years later, Tokyo. 6 weeks before the Olympics, Abebe lay on a hospital bed, recovering from an appendectomy. Most believed it was over. that he would not run, that no man could return so quickly. But Abebe was no ordinary man. He rose, he trained, he endured, and when the marathon came, he did not just win, he crushed the field. 2 hours, 12 minutes, 11 seconds, a world record, twice a champion, once barefoot, once healing, always unstoppable. The world now knew his name, but in his heart he remained the shepherd's son, the mountain boy, the soldier who ran not for glory, but because running was life itself. Abebe Bikila was more than a runner. He was a reminder that greatness is born in silence, sharpened in struggle, and carried in stride. Months later, tragedy struck. A car accident shattered the world of the man who once seemed unbreakable. The legs that had carried him across continents, that had danced barefoot upon the stones of Rome, could carry him no more. Paralyzed, confined to a chair. For many, this would have been the end. But for Abebe Bikila, it was the beginning of another race, one not fought on the road, but within the spirit. Because you cannot paralyze purpose, you cannot disable dignity. The body may falter, but the will endures. Abebe competed again, not on the marathon course, but in winter sleigh races, in archery, in contests where strength was measured not by muscle, but by resilience. He became a symbol not only of victory, but of grace in defeat. And through it all, he never complained. He never asked, "Why me?" Instead, he asked, "What next?" That was the rhythm of his life. Not surrender, but forward motion. Not bitterness, but courage. On October 25, 1973, at just 41 years old, Abebe Bikila passed away. Ethiopia mourned as though the very mountains had bowed their heads. The world wept. Yet legends do not die. They take root in the soil of memory, and they rise again in every generation that dares to believe. He was more than a champion. He was the spark that lit a continent. The barefoot warrior who showed the world not what the human body can achieve, but what the human spirit can endure. His triumph was not simply in winning races, but in reminding us all that greatness is born in humility, in discipline, in quiet strength. Monuments were raised, streets renamed. Schools painted his name upon their gates so that every child would remember. But Bikila's true monument was not carved in stone or cast in bronze. His monument lived in motion. It lived in the hearts, the lungs, the pounding feet of every young Ethiopian who dared to dream of running free. In Bikoji, in Asela, in Goba. Across the highlands where the air is thin and the sky is close, a movement was born. Boys and girls ran barefoot over the earth, chasing the wind, chasing his shadow. They did not just follow his records, they followed his rhythm. A rhythm of humility, of discipline, of national pride. That rhythm carried Haile Gebrselassie, Kenenisa Bekele, Tirunesh Dibaba, and countless others who rose from the dust of the highlands to conquer the world. A single man's footsteps became a nation's heartbeat, because the road never ends, and neither does the runner. Abebe Bikila ran not to escape history, but to carry it forward. And even now, wherever there is a track carved in red earth, wherever there is a child racing the horizon with nothing on their feet but faith, his spirit